time to go further in detail and continue our journey onto Adeenava Sanna. Before I proceed there, I would like to offer my gratitude to Buddha Dhamma Sangha.
Alert from Google Chrome, Red Circle.
Without which this journey of understanding the true self, what is really happening with us, with a person. When I say a person, what does it include? How the five senses can be understood, how each one of these body parts creates its own diseases, that wouldn't have been understood. So let me start with the Vandana or salutation to the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam gacchami. Dutiyampi buddham saranam gacchami. Dutiyampi dhammam saranam gacchami. Dutiyampi sangham saranam gacchami. Tatiyampi buddham saranam gacchami. Tatiyampi dhammam saranam gacchami. Tatiyampi sangham saranam gacchami. In this long sansara, we have taken many births. This is not the only birth when I have come here. And in the process, I have had many parents, many teachers, friends, many enemies, many brothers, sisters, relatives in each one of these lives. Many of them would have taken a human realm of existence. Many of them would have taken a niraya or a preta or a tirisana, or some of them, due to their punya karma, would have taken the devas, the brahmas, into the Sugati plane of existence. So let us welcome all of them through a recitation. Samanta Chakravalesu Atra Gachantu Devata Saddhammam Munirajasa Sunantu Saggamoghadam Dhamma Savana Kalo Ayam Bhadanta Dhamma Savana Kalo Ayam Bhadanta Dhamma Savana Kalo Ayam Bhadanta. Now let us continue our journey into the Girimananda Sutta. In the last few sessions we were looking at Asupasanya, and that is now connected with Adeenava Sanna. Now let us understand what this adeenava means. It means destruction, or a state when the sankata, that is the conditions with which something has been formed, slowly is losing its shape. When I say shape, I mean a physical shape, the characteristics is changed, and that is what we call as aging. So everything that is created will stay for some time and then it passes away. This passing away of the pleasures is what this adeenava is all about. So let us first understand about how this adeenava comes into existence. Adeenava comes into existence with asvada, or pleasures. Almost all of our pleasure hunting is mental. None of our pleasures can fit into physical only. Without the mind or the chittas running with these impressions, what we have taken from different births or within the same birth, there would not be anything called as pleasure. So to get a pleasure, we require 5 senses and the chitta, which is the mind. Without this, nobody can experience anything at all. So if we were to take an arhat, he would not have any asvada. So even though there are diseases as in adeenava, that is the body parts are getting broken away, the arhat does not feel agitated or does not feel a need to do something, except that he applies certain medicines, just the kamma vipaka, that is the fruit of the kamma, not desiring for anything else. So the gati, or the habit pattern of an arhat, does not exist at all. He has got rid of the entire gati. Whereas in our cases, we are still developing that, so we get worried when something is not okay. So let me give you a simple examples of adeenava before we proceed into different kind of diseases. There are 49 in all what Buddha has explained. So to go to that, let us understand very simple things. Let us say I am in one posture, sitting on a chair, and my feet is touching the ground, and the the thighs are bent, the calf muscle is taking the load, and it is the trunk which is literally balancing the top of the body. After some time, I would like to move the body because of two factors. Either it starts paining, or mentally I start losing interest in that posture. More often than not, we would like to experience the pleasure in the posture. So after some time, we lose interest in that posture because of the general boredom of that posture, or the pain associated of sitting in that posture will make us to change the posture to a new posture. So the old posture has died. There is adeenava of that. That is, it ceases, it is almost ceasing when I change the posture. When the posture is changed, that is nissarana, which is nothing but extinction of that posture. And most of the time, it is happening through my mind. That posture change, whether I am going in the front as I am sitting on the chair, or going to the back, or resting my back, or taking my body to the front, is all decided by the chitta, not by the body. The body just follows. So in each one of these posture, there is a limited amount of pleasure to be got from that posture. And that is the time when we sit in a particular posture, it starts paining. And this pain has been there, but is not immediately recognized. It will take time for the body to react on that posture. Once the pain starts, that is called as disease. That means the ease is gone. That means I was comfortable, now I become uncomfortable. That is called as a disease. So English has a very nice word called disease. So that means we have to be in ease first to get a disease. So all our life is spent in creating environment to have an ease of life. So we keep on supplying conditions for the body to be at ease. Otherwise, we are diseased. So the being, in this case, I as a human being, thinking that I can maintain the posture. But after some time, the posture cannot be continued. So there is udayangama, there is attangama. Attangama means growth. Aswada, that is the highest amount of pleasure being sucked by the senses in that particular place. Then starts with adeenava, which is destruction. And nissarana is when it gets totally disappeared. So these are the 5 stages of sankata. Sankata as in the meaning of condition. So as we have to create this condition, start filling it up, one funny thing happens is that we get to a expectation that we can maintain that particular condition. And that is how this I gets established, and we start creating the sankhara, which is nothing but the actions. So, but all of this dis-ease, that is, I am not at ease with myself, ease can be, I might wish I should be at ease. No human being wants to be dis-ease. Every human being expects every moment to be at ease. But the wish is one of the condition, not the only condition for the body to stay in a particular order. There are various factors, including the temperature, including the place, the situation, the mental condition of the person, the mental condition of people around, the condition of the beings who are either supporting or not supporting, the various things. Most of it we don't realize, we can't see, so we believe that I only exist in this room and nobody else is existing. So I feel whatever wish I am putting forth will happen or should happen. That is the intent. That is Nitya Sanya, that is the wish, the conditions are going to stay, or I can supply the necessary condition for it to work. Since I am consistently behind pleasure, to get this pleasure I need to supply the condition. But since that is not the only cause, since there are many causes, the effect changes, and sometimes the effect meets. So I feel very happy because the pleasure is now sucked from that. As I suck the pleasure, I want to continue the pleasure. Again I have to take the pain of creating that pleasure. This time around it might happen or it might not even happen. So this is the nature of things, and it's called as anicca. That is, the conditioned things cannot be put in one way or the other as a wish or as a command or as an expectation. Not possible for any human being, or rather any being, to set the necessary conditions all the time, because we are not aware of the conditions, and neither we will get a chance to be aware of all the conditions. So in Pali it is called hetu, or the causes or the conditions. Sometimes when the condition changes due to various factors, that affects the well-being of the body. No matter if a person has wished or has done everything, like jogging, like walking every day, might get into yoga exercises, might hit the gymnasium, might take good minerals, medicines, or maintain a good lifestyle, not smoking, not drinking, not having non-vegetarian food, not having oily food, and these are all the conditions what the person is supplying for the body to be in a good condition. That's what he feels. But he has something also to do, is called as dukkha, that is, what if something goes wrong? This what if is a problem. So to take care of that problem, he will create lot of different avenues to supply that condition. As long as the conditions are working, the body is perfectly, seemingly normal, but inside what is happening nobody can see. So I just now, let us say, had my supper, I had a tea, I had something to eat. So I don't know what it is doing inside my stomach. There is no guarantee that whatever I have taken in does not cause any kind of issues. And if it happens, there is a viparinama dukkha, because I never expected that to happen. So that is unexpected changes. So that is again a disease. because now I am at ease doing this desana, but if something happens to my stomach, I need to stop the desana and then attend to that. That is the dis-ease. So that means everything in this world is anicca. The whole body, how it is taking care, is as per what I am commanding it to be. There is no way I can command it. There is no way I can say I will be fit, I will be fine, or I will not be fit, I will not be fine. Both the extremes I cannot really say, because whatever I am saying is completely conditioned, has got nothing to do with my body. And the food what was given to me, I have no control over it. So in a way it has become anatta. So atta means I am in control, and anatta is I am not in any control. So to understand adeenava sanna, sanna means perception, adeenava means almost on the way of destruction. To understand this, we need to first understand this anicca dukkha anatta in a real proper way. Otherwise it just becomes a talk or a theory which makes no sense to anyone. So first and foremost, I am trying to look at my own body and my own self. This self is what I am trying to protect, which consists of the rupa plus vedana, vedana plus sanya plus sankhara, and then we have the vijnana, which is nothing but the experiencer. So this body is not the experiencer. The person who is sitting inside the body, the subtle body, is the experiencer, but it is experiencing through the body which is getting destroyed. So it would be an interesting experience to see what the person says that I exist is actually being destroyed. It's getting either destroyed due to heat or the temperature, or due to the air, that is vayu, or it is getting destroyed to pathavi, that is the earth element, or it is getting destroyed due to apo element, and altogether it is getting destroyed through space element. So all these combinations of factors which are beyond anybody's control, neither I can say, oh don't worry, I will increase the air element, not possible. I don't even have an authority to command to the air element saying that you reduce or you increase. Or the fire element, let us say the digestion is not going on well, that means the fire element is not working properly. So the science have proven that there is a HCl, the acid, so that is diluted and the enzymes are not there. There are these gut bacteria and they are not eating the food particles, and then that is the reason my stomach is upset. That's all I know. But I cannot command to those gut bacteria that why don't you eat? Why don't you help me in digesting the food? I have no control over it. And same way, I cannot condition it for the gut bacteria to get developed. So in a way, it is the pain. There is a mental pain that the food is not getting digested, and there is a physical pain. Because of that, I am getting stomach pain, I might get ulcers, I might get so many things. So this is an interesting topic today to see how the asvada, the pleasures of life, in turn becomes the cause for one's own destruction, and why we should stop expecting the pleasures in life, because it ultimately leads to nothing. So let's start with one by one on the adeenava sanna. So there is an interesting discussion now happening between Venerable Ananda and Buddha. And Buddha says, Katamachananda adeenava sanna. Idananda vikku aranyagato va rukkamulagato va sunyagaragato va iti pati sankichati bahu dukkho ko ayam kayo bahu adeenavo. iti imasmin kaye vividha abhada uppajjanti se yatadhim. So what it means is that Katamachananda adeenava Sanna, what are the different kinds of adeenava, that is the destruction, and how to look at these perceptions. So Buddha says, Idananda bhikkhu arannagatova, that is, a person stops the war between himself by the way of getting into the lobha dvesha moha, that is, or raga dvesha moha, which is desire or lust. Then he has aversion because things are not happening in his favor, and there is a moha, delusion, that ultimately things will start working. That is arannagatova. Rukka moola gatova is nothing but, rukka is the tree, the root of the tree, moola is the root. So if the mind is swaying in different direction, then if there is any hurricane coming, the tree gets completely chopped off from the root. So he makes his root firm, so that any thoughts which are coming to destroy, it doesn't get a chance to destroy. So rukka moola gatova. And shunyagara gatova, that is, he makes his mind totally tranquil. Shunya, that is, there are no thoughts of lust or hatred or delusion. And then he sees what are the abhada, that is, the pains which come into this body. Now you see, there are no command given to the body that you get this or you get that, but automatically something or the other is happening inside the body, and he is watching it carefully to see what are the different types of pains and diseases which are going to come. If it has not come, it doesn't mean it is not going to come. It only means that the conditions are not right at this moment to any one of us to get those diseases. So when we see those diseases, or when you are now going to hear these words of diseases, don't think that it is not going to come to any one of us. It will come or it might not come, but we are in no control to say that whether it will come right now, it will not come at all, it will never come. And I will ensure that it doesn't come. That cannot happen, because unless the conditions does not match due to various factors, the effect is not seen. So let's start with first one, called as Chakku Rogo, that is diseases of eyes. So the two kind of eye, one is an internal eye, one is an external eye. So the light falling on the retina is not properly shown as the image which is getting reflected. So it might hit the retina on the wrong side, and then we might get into, the person might get a short-sightedness, which is nearsighted, or can be far-sighted. These are two which can come. Other than that, the optic nerve can develop into various kind of problems, and a disease called glaucoma can get developed. Retinal tear can happen. A stone or something might hit the retina while driving, and it might blind or partially blind the eye. So anything on the eye can happen. So if somebody is happening to stay in Gulf regions where there are sandstorms, and sand can enter into the eyes, even though we try protecting the eyes through our hand or whatever, it might still enter. So if it enters, nothing that anybody can do, and due to that process, if it irritates, that is roga. Why? Because it is infected now. The eye is now infected, so that is going to tear the skin and comes blood. we cannot stop the bleeding. So there is internal bleeding inside the eye. So nothing can be done, and the only person sees it very red. So now if somebody wished that that shouldn't happen, and now he can see it has happened. So did he have any Nitya Sanya there? That is, nothing is going to happen to me. It is conditioned in such a way that I will not allow my eyes to have this. He has gone to watch the sand dunes, and then this has happened. So the weather pattern got changed, and it created a sandstorm, and the person's eyes is now penetrated with a lot of sand particles. And that is now the dukkha. There is a mental torture now on why he went there, and he is now in tremendous pain. At that moment, the pleasure of the sand bashing or the sand or in the desert safari no longer exists for the person. He is in pain. So Chakku Rogo can happen at any time and anywhere, even while sitting in the room or sitting in the at home or at office. And nowadays we start staring at our computers, so that even causes even more damage, which we might not even know. Let's move to the next one, Sota Rogo. Sota is to hear, but here it is all about sound. So there are people who get a weird tingling sensation in their ears, and they have no idea what it is. There are some people who get a ringing sensation all the time. There are some people who are not able to hear properly, they hear multiple voices. And there are people who feel that somebody is talking to them when nobody is talking. So these are all diseases of the inner ear. Or it might so happen that the eardrum, inside that there are a lot of hairs which vibrate, and those have got into a destruction. Again, I request all of you to look it from the anicca nature of it. That is, how these conditions are not in anybody's liking or dislike. Nobody can do anything about it. That means I cannot insert these hairs in my ear if I am having a problem of hearing. Or if somebody has a lot of hairs, I can remove that. Both are not possible. And even medically, it has been proven that if those hairs which vibrate at a particular frequency have been lost due to loud noises or explosions and other things, it cannot grow. So that portion of sounds are lost forever. So the sensitivity with sound will decrease. Even otherwise, it keeps on decreasing. Nothing that anybody can do. As we progress in age, our ability to hear different sounds keep on decreasing. So we can only hear to prominent sounds, we cannot hear to very subtle sounds. That is, we would have lost. And nowadays with urbanization, where you have this noise pollution, where there are a lot of vehicular sounds and other sounds made, it is impossible to keep these small strand of hairs in proper order. So eventually the person becomes deaf, partially deaf or fully deaf, or however it can be put, without his or her permission. So what I feel is that I will be able to maintain my hearing till the end of my life is just a wish. So that is the condition what I am putting, but that condition has got nothing to do with what really happens, because I have no control over the external sounds which comes, the external inputs which are consistently hitting my eardrum. Can I close all of that? It's not possible. So that means I am going to have the eardrum disease in one way or the other as I start aging, goes on aging myself. Then we have Ghana Rogo. Ghana is smell or the odor. There are some people who are very sensitive to smelling, and there are some people who are very insensitive to smelling, so nothing can be done. Let us say if somebody says that I can smell a lot of different kind of aromas or bad smells, and other person might say I'm not able to smell anything at all. So both are in roga. If a person is smelling too many things, is one kind of roga, and a person is not able to smell anything at all is another kind of roga, and both are in roga. Since it is very subtle, the hairs inside the nose is the one which is picking up the scent. But there is olfactory, that is, it actually is able to recognize, the mind is able to recognize the type of the smell. But if that sensory inputs are not properly placed, again in this case the anicca, that is the conditions, necessary conditions are not there, then the person is in roga. So a person might start feeling different smells when his nose becomes too sensitive. So he has to then rush to the doctor to see that how he can reduce the sensitivity, but there is no answer to that sensitivity itself. How did that sensitivity came into existence? The same thing with eyes and the ears, what I just now discussed earlier. How this sensitivity to light happens, nobody can say. How this sensitivity to sound happens, nobody can say. But only we can find alternatives when the sensitivity happens. And we cannot promise that whatever sensitivity is happening, we can address that. So there is again no control over it. So eventually all this leads to dukkha or suffering. So there is a physical suffering because of the smell, and there is a mental suffering because of the same smell, because somebody is able to smell but I am not able to smell, so I have to keep on thinking why I am not able to smell. In another case, I am able to smell various things, but I am now making it a big issue where others are saying that there is no smell like that. So again I start thinking why this smell is coming, why I am the only person who is smelling. So in either way I have no control over it. So if I am not able to smell properly is one disease, and if I am able to smell too many things is another disease, for which nobody can give an explanation why in the first place this is happening. And if I really see these eyes, ears, and now the nose is the one which we are using it as our faculty for enjoyment. So a good perfume smell, there are people who can smell a nice perfume, and that's the reason they work in the scent factories. There are people who can have sensitivity towards coffee beans, so they can smell. But what happens when they keep on smelling this? They lose sense to the other kind of smells. So they become sensitivity to one smell, and they lose the sensitivity to another kind of smell. So that is adeenava again. The pleasure here is to smell the perfume, smell the coffee beans. There are people who smell wine. There are people who smell different kind of alcohol. There are people who smell different kind of fabrics. There are people who love smell of different kind of fluids like petrol or kerosene or the vinegar and a lot of other of these. But they keep on smelling that, sniffing that, and then they lose the sensitivity to other kind of smells. So to gain one type of smell pleasure, they have to lose other kind of smell pleasure, or they have to get into other kind of pain of losing them. So at any point in time, to gain one, we have to lose many things. And the same holds good with our eyes and ears and nose. Let's come to Jiva Rogo, which is nothing but tongue. If you observe that when a person develops fever and the fever is gone, the cells which are dead and the virus and all that has come to the tongue. So if the person were to eat, he will not find any taste in anything unless that entire gut is cleaned. So it takes some time before the person can taste again. So that is another disease at that time. So a high fever can totally create a numbness of taste, which is a roga. And there are people who are sensitivity is highest for tasting. They can taste anything. And there are people who cannot taste anything. So these two extremes exist. Again, it is conditioned. So what is conditioned for one person who can taste many things is not the same condition for another person, because he cannot taste so many things. So the mind in one person can read many tastes, and the same mind in another person cannot read those many tastes. So again, it is anatta, that doesn't have any control. So a person who is able to taste many things will eat many things and then create diseases of the tongue. So they might have boils on the tongue, they might have scars on the tongue because of the spices being used, and also there might be bleeding of the tongue. Or some people might develop eating habits in such a way that they really torture the tongue. So if somebody were to smoke a lot, the tongue gets into problem. Or some person takes alcohol in more quantity, again the tongue gets burnt. So there are diseases of the tongue for which the conditions does not suit for the tongue to be in a proper order. But we love our tongue, just like we love our eyes to seeing whatever we would like to see, we would like to hear whatever we want to hear, we would like to smell whatever we want to smell, and we want to taste whatever we love to taste. But all of these are conditioned, and then when the condition changes, it creates diseases or roga. Then we love our body. In fact, we keep on putting one skin cream to another skin cream and beautifying it. And somebody is fair as a lady, and she would start the process of beautifying with different kind of creams and powders and scented items and lipsticks and whatnot. But he or she cannot stop the kaya roga. Kaya is the body, and there are a lot of parts in the body which are called moving parts, just like the legs, the hands. These are the moving parts. Because we have used it, you have to use it for our movement, that is to take these five senses wherever they want to go. This moving part can be abused or extensively used, creating various kind of diseases. Let us say a person would like to run a marathon. How much pain he has to put it on the body, and can create into roga. That is, it gets into a state where he is dehydrated and the body loses its elasticity and he is not able to continue further. Some people go on trek. Same thing. Some people go on a walking for tens and hundreds of kilometers. So every person has a crazy idea of maintaining the body in different way. Right from hitting a gymnasium to various kind of dance exercises, yoga exercises, all kind of things happen in this world. and all leading to satisfying the kaya, upkeep of the kaya so that it looks as vibrant or as young as possible. But eventually it develops roga in the joints, in the hands, in the limbs, neck, ankle, and the general body can have any kind of complications. So a person can develop spondylitis. So when the bones degenerate during in the neck region or in the back, and can have different problems of the spine where slip disc or anything like that could happen. Then he might have problem of the joints from a shoulder blade to different kinds of hand bones being displaced. So from head to toe, any kind of external injury can lead to a lot of complication and can put the person in disease. A small fall is sufficient for the person to get into the disease. It's not a big fall, a small fall is sufficient. So that creates this kaya roga. Again, when we sing this kaya, we have to see it with anicca dukkha anatta, without which we cannot really see the true nature. The body is conditioned by various factors. When the condition changes, we get roga. So there is dukkha. And the person is helpless, anatta. The person cannot do anything. It doesn't have any control over whatever he is trying to do. Let us say a person is jogging and suddenly he falls down. Because of the speed what he has picked up, his ankle is twisted. Or he has twisted his, let us say, the knee. Inside the knee there are ligaments and that ligament is torn. Can he run now? Not possible. So there is kaya roga right now. It can be an internal injury, it can be an external injury. So let us say there is an external injury. He is going on a bike and the bike falls down. Along with that he also falls, and the road has sand and that gets into the hands and legs and it is scratched his skin. Now, if a tincture of iodine is put on that part of the body by the doctor, is it a painful feeling or a pleasurable feeling? It's a painful feeling. But the pleasure was in the bike ride. He never expected he is going to fall down. Now he has fallen down. The same pleasure has turned out into a pain. So kaya roga can hit us at any point in time, and we are not immune. We are actually so much fragile that any fall anywhere is going to cause a lot of problems in any part of the body. Next, let us come to Sisa rogo. Sisa is head. So there can be disease of head like migraine, headache, heaviness. Sometimes due to accumulation of water in the head, the person can feel real heavy, and sometimes when the heaviness becomes too much due to water moving up and down inside the head, the person can get a splitting headache on one side of his head, like a back or in the front or whatever, and as the water gets displaced, the person might not be able to walk properly, and then he might feel like he is falling. This can happen, and we don't again have any control over it to say that this will never happen, at least for me. No, cannot really promise. So can I supply necessary conditions for that headache not coming? Not possible, because that is also not in my control. Can I wish that headache will not come? Not possible. So these first five, that is Chakku, Sota, Ghana, Jiva, Kaya, these first five are what we are really obsessed with for enjoying the pleasures. And all of this can turn out into roga or diseases. And when these diseases manifest in any of these part of the body, the pleasure turns itself into pain. So pleasure and pain are two sides of the same coin. One who sees the pain in the pleasure will get liberated. One who enjoys the pleasure and forgets the pain will suffer. Because in our mind we have taken it as Nitya, Sukha, Atta, Subha. That is, Nitya is a feeling that we will be able to supply conditions in a way that the pleasure can be increased, if not decreased, or at least continue at the same pleasure level. So the conditions can be met. And then this doing of this is a sukha, that is gives me happiness, or rather the pleasure sucking gives me happiness. And atta, that means I can decide how much quantity of these conditions can be supplied and make it look working. Then subha, that is subha, that is it is a good becoming, or it is going to lead to a good destination. Whereas in reality, the life in terms of these conditioned things, sankata, is nothing but anicca, dukkha, anatta, asubha. That is, every conditioned thing will perish, doesn't have any control over anyone. When the conditions stop, the effect also stops, a new condition comes in. That is helplessness of the person who is trying to supply the same condition. And it is asubha because it leads to a bad destination. So all of these five, which we are so happy to have it, because that is where we think the happiness lies, is where the roga is. And that manifests into the different kind of roga now. So we will go further. We spoke about Sisa roga. Then we'll go to Kanna roga. That is the disease of the outer ear or the physical ear. So like wax, accumulation of wax can create a lot of problems. An insect can go inside the ear and create problems. A virus attack can cause a problem. A bacterial attack can cause a problem of the outer ear. And a pus can be formed inside the ear. Water can cause a problem. Exposure to heat can cause a problem of the ear. And then using earbuds or using sharp instrument to clean the ear can cause problems. So all these are diseases. So Karna Roga can also have injuries to the ear. So why are we so much fascinated or obsessed with our ears? Because without that external ear, we cannot enjoy the sounds. So we would like to protect the eyes, the ears, the nose, the tongue, the outer part of the body as much as possible, so that we can enjoy, we can have the pleasures of that. Mukha Roga. So now let's come to the face, because face is one thing which we consider to be the best part of our body. We love it. There is not even one person in this world who will say that my face doesn't look nice. And everybody is trying to enjoy or have a pleasurable feeling of the face. So let's see what happens on the face. Disease of face includes warts. So for some reason, the body's own mechanism of the immune system creates a skin development outside, and it becomes a growth. So these are called as warts. There are different kinds of warts, but all of these, like dark spots, is one kind of wart. The growth of a outer growth of a skin is another kind of wart, and this can grow on the face. Nothing can be done about it. There are people who will try to operate it, but it again grows back, because that is a virus, and it is a human virus. It is not a animal virus or a different kind of virus. It is created by its own body. So now you tell me, where is Nitya? It's anicca and anatta. Nothing that anybody can do. The only reason why I don't have anything on my face is not because I desired that nothing should be there on my face as warts. It's because of the conditions are not there. But when the condition comes up, I can have pimples, I can have redness, I can have swelling, I can have bruises, I can have burns, I can have flushing, I can have rashes on the face, and I can have seborrheic dermatitis. That is, the face can have different kind of diseases within that. So the face can have a, let us say, scaly skin which keeps on peeling off, or it can become dry, excessively dry, and starts to lose the shape, or it can become excessively oily, and every few minutes I need to wash my face if it has to look the way it is. So again, adeenava. Why? Because I have even rinsed in water with some soap. After some time, again it is the same. If I were to dry it up too much, then the dry skin will create a disease where I need to keep on scratching the face. So it turns red, and then it turns boil, and the blood will start oozing out. Or if I go to a hot location where it extracts the moisture from my face, then what happens? The skin becomes totally parched up, and then the blood starts coming out, and it is painful. Every part of the face can get into blisters and can have scars. Let us say I have a smallpox or chicken pox, and all of this can affect the face, and nothing that anybody can do. And that is how the autoimmune displacement can happen and cause face to have a different texture than what the person earlier had. So if you have seen the child, the small child has a nice, good looking face, but once he turns a teenager, it's called as acne or pimples. Now, he never desired, or she never desired. Look at a girl. She would love her face to be the most beautiful. She doesn't want her skin to look anything different. So she does take care of her face by giving a hot steam to her face so that the pimples, the pus associated with the pimple goes away. Okay, and the oil, whatever is being generated through the hormonal changes, goes off. With all of that, she cannot really promise that the pimple will never be there. And for the same very girl, due to changes in her menstrual cycle, again the pimples will come on her face. Nothing can be done. And it can come on the nose, it can come on the head, it can, on the it can come on the cheeks, it can come below the chin or above the chin, it can come wherever, and we can't even say which place it is going to come. We cannot even predict. So this is adeenava. And for getting the pleasure of the face, the person has to take so much of the pain, and then in the end, while the person is sleeping, he or she might get a lot of pimples, or even when not in sleeping and he or she is in a bus or a vehicle or wherever the person is, can develop these scars, these rashes on the face. Then let's come to Danta Rogo, that is diseases of teeth like smelly teeth. Why smelly? Because the gums have a problem. Either the gums has a problem or the digestion problem has, and in both the cases it affects the teeth, because then the teeth becomes very sensitive. This sensitivity can happen due to the toothache or the tooth creating cavities. And again, nobody likes cavities. There's not even one person who want to develop cavities. But how does it happen? From a childhood, the cavities happen. So, and the baby teeth are formed, but it falls down, and then the adult teeth comes in, but then it falls down. Nobody can have a 100% guarantee that the teeth are going to remain as it is. Not possible. And then the enamel can get displaced. The gums can have a receding due to hormonal imbalance, can be due to alcohol, can be due to smoking, can be due to various factors. Or the oral hygiene is not good, that's what they say, but whatever it is, the person doesn't have any control over it to say that how much it is going to recede or how much is not going to recede, how much of the cavity can happen, how much of the cavity cannot happen, how much of the bleeding of the gums can happen, cannot happen. Nobody can promise anything at all. Only we can find a solution to it as a medicine, but we cannot really stop from any one of these happening. In some cases, the teeth might just come out and nothing can be done. So we can put an artificial teeth, that is true, but nobody can stop the original teeth from falling. So Danta Rogo. Ottha Rogo, that is lips. Ottha is lips. So disease of the lips can be parched lips, bleeding lips, palpitation and trembling of lips, lip irritation due to chemicals, various chemicals, either as a food or whatever we drink, like aerated drinks, alcohol, or anything that we think is going to give us pleasure, can create reactions on the lips. Even smoking has a very drastic effect on the lips. And seasonal changes is another factor. When the moisture is removed from the lips, especially when you go to desert regions, you can experience that the moisture goes away, and then the lips loses its luster and it starts to bleed. Next we'll start with Kaso, cough. Kaso is nothing but cough in the throat or disease of throat. Can be tonsillitis, can be water retention, can be phlegm getting hard into the lungs and then coming to the throat, or a generic throat infection due to virus or bacteria, and various kind of germs. Can happen due to water, can happen due to food. These are the two immediate factors what can be considered. But again, this roga can happen at any point in time, and nobody can say that the throat infection can never happen. Even if a person were to drink mineral water, which is called as bottled water and not a tap water, nobody can 100% promise that the germs would not exist in that very bottled water. And for the same water bottle can create infection to one person and doesn't create any problem at all to another person. Or the same tap water drunk taken by one person might cause a throat infection and might not have any throat infection in another person. So you see the fun here. We can brand something, but we cannot know why one person the same water infects and for another person the same infection is not at all there. Then we come to Saso is asthma. Again, lungs infection creating asthma. And nobody really knows how this lung infection happens, how the water gets retained in the lungs, how the lungs expansion contraction process fails. Paphasa is what we looked into as a asubha sanya, why the lungs are there. Now you see when the person is contracted with asthma, that is, there is a contraction of the lungs, what happens? He cannot breathe. The basic breathing itself lands into problem. So then what happens? He requires inhalers. You see the problem associated with enjoying pleasure. For the five senses, how much of the pain we have to take. If the person is not able to breathe properly, has an asthmatic attack, he loses the sensation of breathing. So he needs to have an external stimulus to breathe. Otherwise an attack will come so badly. At that time what happens to the pleasure? What happens to his identity? You just think. There is nothing anybody can do except for giving him inhalers, or it can be giving him or her different kind of drugs to reduce the congestion. But nobody can do anything about the congestion itself. Next we come to Pinaso, which is nothing but the cold feeling in the head and cataract. So Pinaso is used for both of them. There is a cold feeling in the head. That means it is, if you were to look at the English, that lightheadedness with some cold attack on the head is what is Pinaso. And another thing is that cataract is another meaning for Pinaso. So cataract is caused nobody knows the real cause of cataract, but then there is this a layer created on the eyelids, sorry, not the eyelid, sorry, the eyeball, and the person loses the vision in terms of side views, and he cannot see much of whatever he is seeing. So then the doctor has to remove the eyeballs and replace it with a different set of eyeball, and then it becomes all right. So now you see, can we say we will never get cataract? Can anybody really promise himself or herself that I will never get it? So that is, condition is not matching right now, but whenever we get old or whatever it is, can even happen at a young age. So depends on how much of the eyes we have spoiled. Not that anybody would like to spoil his eyes. So we say that, how did you spoil your eyes? That is a very not a right way of asking questions, because nobody would love to lose or do something about his eyes. It just happens. So it's anicca dukkha anatta. So when a cataract happens, a person is helpless. He has to undergo the operation. If he leaves it without getting operated, he will lose his eyesight. So cataract. Daho. So there are some instances where due to high fever, the person gets extensively thirsty, dried mouth with thirst. No matter what he drinks, how much of liquid intake he is taking, he feels that thirst as though nothing has gone into his mouth. This is a disease which can happen at any point in time. There is a case where due to not working of liver properly, there's a lot of saliva getting generated. At the same time, due to underperformance of the same liver, the person's mouth becomes so dry that it turns itself into daha. Daha is extensive thirst, wherein if a person puts some liquid in that, he the liquid. Next is jaro, is fever, and there can be any kind of fever which can come in due to exhaustion, one fever, due to overeating can be another fever, can be due to mental thinking is another fever. Let us say some people get into depression and there is fever. So apart from that, there is viral fever, there is brain fever, there is this fever, that fever, and fever can, due to stomach upset, it can be fever. So fever can come due to any of the causes and nobody can do anything about it except for getting tormented with the fever. Only thing is that we can apply medicines and cold cloth etc. to get fever under control, otherwise the person is going to die. But can anybody stop fever from arising? Not possible. As long as we are alive, as long as we have temperature in the body, fever is also part of it, because it is a natural mechanism for the antibodies to fight with external element, and sometimes it fights with itself and causing fever. So nobody has any control over how the cells are going to fight. So this is an interesting thing to look at anicca in terms of cell. We have no control and no way we can condition it to say the cell mutation is going to happen, how many cells are going to be born today, how many cells are going to die today, who has control over it, and that decides whether you're going to get a fever or not. So nothing can be said, because the external, as we drink air, the pollution what we call is carbon monoxide of the vehicles and the heat and the viruses which are going through our nose and mouth and different parts of the body, and how the internal immune system is trying to fight. Do we have any control over it? Can I really say I will never get fever? I might wish. That wishing is one of the condition. It's not really I can do anything about not having fever. Kuchi rogo is a disease of stomach and part of the stomach, and for a lady or for a woman it is including the womb lining. That can have a different kind of pain, so abdominal pain, and abdominal pain can also happen during menstrual cycles for the woman, and especially when the girl just gets into her periods at a young age, let us say 10 or 11-year-old, can develop a lot of pains of the abdomen. Then we'll come to mucha, this fainting related diseases including unconsciousness, which can be caused due to exhaustion, profuse perspiration, loss of sugar, or drop in the sugar level due to again exhaustion or due to diabetic conditions, and that can make a person go into mucha. Then we'll come into the next roga is called pakandika. It's nothing but dysentery and diarrhea. So because of what we are eating and drinking as water can have different kind of germs and different things like a salt and different kind of chemicals which are there, and that can cause severe infections of the intestines, and the body in order to flush that out can create diarrhea. So a person can develop diarrhea at any point in time, and also dysentery. And again, should we eat? Yes, we should eat, but we can't really promise that the diarrhea cannot happen. We cannot really promise that dysentery will never happen. So this is called as stomach upset or loose stomach. Whatever it is called as, the person now has no control over it. Then we come to Sula. Sula is nothing but stomach pain, stomach and abdominal pain. The lower abdominal pain can be caused due to excessive heat trapped in, and then the gut is not able to reduce that heat. So then what happens is that the gas, or what we call as the wind, gets increased because of the heat, and this heat and the wind will create a cycle of expansion which the body cannot take it. So the Patavi Dhatu will now become more and more pronounced or more and more strong. So it creates pains because the water element gets exhausted. So the stomach will bloat and causes a lot of pain, and also abdominal pains. Next we'll come to Visuchika or cholera. There are various reasons why cholera happens. So nothing can be done when this cholera causes infections. So cholera is an infection of the small intestine, and there are a lot of bacteria which create that. The classic symptom is a watery diarrhea, and it lasts for a few days, so nothing can be done. So when cholera attack happens, the person gets dehydrated and the skin starts to turn bluish. So the symptoms can start 2 hours to 5 days after exposure. So unless this virus goes away, it creates even more complication. It is spread by unsafe water, unsafe food, which can be contaminated with human feces containing that bacteria. And also, if a person is eating a lot of non-vegetarian food like seafood, cholera can happen. Kuttam is leprosy. So this is another disease which happens due to bacterial conditions, and the nerve and the tissues are literally infected by that bacteria, and the person might lose his limbs, his fingers and toes, and it can create even more further complications. Even though we have the medicine, nobody can say why a leprosy happens. We will have this last one called Gando, and then we will take the remaining in the next week. Gando is nothing but boils on the skin and flesh. So at any point in time, due to various conditions, the boils can get developed and it can erupt, and the flesh can get exposed due to that boils, and it's a very painful condition. It can happen at any part of the body, and nobody has any control over which part of the body this boils can happen. So right from the private parts where these boils can develop to anywhere on the face, to head, to chest, to anywhere, it can create boils, and the boils can have pus formation or without pus formation, and both the conditions are really painful for the person. So if we don't have any one of these diseases right now, that means the conditions are not yet matured to get any one of these diseases. So we can call that we are fortunate enough at this point in time that we don't have any one of these, and we can only hope so that we don't get any one of these right now. So, but if we were to have, any one of us were to get it, what is the next step? Is to suffer. So as and when we would like to enjoy the senses and take the pleasure, this much of the diseases also have to be suffered in return. This is the message of this adeenava Sanna, because every adeenava comes from asvada. So since we are only wanting asvada, that is to enjoy pleasure, we are forgetting that we have taken the bag full of this adeenava as well. So nothing in this life we can say that I will only enjoy. The pain is also associated with this enjoyment. So then the question comes, is it really worthwhile to go behind this aswada, which really gets us nowhere? So why don't we use our energy, use our life in creating asankata, that is unconditioned things, which is nothing but nibbana. Instead of going behind the conditioned things, which is anicca, why don't we do something where we don't get attached to this adeenava conditions because of our interest in asvada? So let's continue on this journey from the next set of it, that is from 23 to 49 in the next week. Any questions? Okay, if you don't have any questions, then I would like to conclude the today's desana with transferring the merit to all the beings who have assembled here, either on the phone or on Skype or on YouTube, and those beings who don't have body are in search of the body, and those parents who've been my parents in this life and previous lives, either, and also those relatives who are not there with us anymore in various lives and in this life. May they understand the Buddha Dhamma to the extent possible, because it is pure science. It has no dogmas. It doesn't have any kind of rituals except for understanding oneself and then getting rid of these kind of kleshas or the impurities what we have generated over different lives or in the same life. May they attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. May they work towards the liberation path from the Puttujana state to the Sotapanna, to from Sotapanna to Anagami, to the Arhat. So may they enjoy the bliss of Nibbana. May everyone attain peace. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Nasanta, you have any questions?
Vilas, actually, I was listening all this.